Hey there, everyone, and welcome to our last episode of Sports Hour for the semester. I'm Kevin Syracuse with Dante Lasting, and like we always do, one last time, we'll give a roundup of Fredonia sports. There's not too much to talk about, as just the hockey team was in action over the Thanksgiving break. So they won the 2019 Castleton University Invitational with a double overtime win Saturday over Nazareth at Spartan Arena in Rutland, Vermont. The game went into a 5-minute, 5-on-5 overtime, tied at 5, and then into a 5-minute, 3-on-3 overtime, where Victor Tracy netted the game-winning goal. Fredonia also defeated number 15 ranked Curry 1-0 on Friday, as Jasper Corrigan-Barley scored the game-winning goal in a shootout. Both games go down as a tie, but Fredonia did win the tournament and will use that as momentum moving forward. They return home this weekend to take on Cortland on Friday and Oswego on Saturday for the stroke awareness game. And like I said, no other teams were in action over Thanksgiving break, but the women's basketball team will be back in action tomorrow night in Nazareth and Saturday at Buff State, and they are currently 2-2. And then the men's basketball team doesn't play again until Saturday, also at Buff State, and then they are 3-2. So they are off to one of their better starts in the last few years. So hopefully they can continue with that pace.
Yeah.
So now for the NFL. First things first, Bills showed the world that they are not a fluke like everyone wanted to write them off as, and they pretty much dominated the Dallas Cowboys in front of over 32.5 million people Thursday afternoon.
Yeah, it was a great game to watch. It was a great Thanksgiving day, just overall. 3 games of football, 3 plates of food, just one of the better days of the year. But yeah, as you said, the Bills, they showed up on prime time, and because of that, they got themselves another primetime game. Another game got flexed, the Bills-Steelers, so I know everyone in Buffalo is excited about that, but Josh Allen really played a good game on Thursday.
Yeah, 19-24, 231 yards, a touchdown, 43 rushing yards, and a touchdown. So his 8th straight game where he's had multiple touchdown games. And he's on a tear right now. And like you said, not only did the Bills show everyone that they're better than everyone thought, but Josh Allen did so too. Because on social media and in the news, everyone was talking about Josh Allen this past weekend and how he's really come along. And a lot of people were admitting that they were wrong for saying that Josh Allen would be a bust. He's too inaccurate, he's this, he's that. I mean, it's still early, but as of now, people are starting to take note of Josh Allen, and it feels good. And like you said, Week 15 now, they go to Pittsburgh for Sunday Night Football, and then Week 16 they go to New England for Saturday Night Football.
Yes.
So we go from one primetime game, and it wasn't really in primetime because it was Thanksgiving, and it was CBS, but now we have 3 primetime games.
Yeah, it's going to be, those 2 matchups are really going to be good. But for the game against Dallas, the 2 wide receivers, John Brown and Cole Beasley, they had a great game. With Cole Beasley almost breaking his career receiving yards in a game, and for John Brown being the first Bill to throw a touchdown pass, just incredible by those 2 guys.
Yeah, Brown only had 26 receiving yards, but it was a touchdown pass that he had that caught everyone's eye.
Definitely.
And like you said, Beasley had a great day receiving. So those 2 are the 2 huge pickups for the Bills.
Yes.
Because we've said this all year. Brown can stretch it deep, or I mean, he can pretty much run any route, but he's more of a deep threat, and then Cole Beasley can work it inside. So it's just a great duo to have. So next up, they have Baltimore, and we'll talk about that game more in our predictions.
Yes.
So the next game we had was the Saints and Falcons, and the Saints took this one 26-18, and they already clinched their division. They're 10-2 now.
Yeah.
Because the next team is 5-7, so it's pretty much a runaway in that division.
Definitely. They have a lot of good quality games coming up. They have one against the 49ers next week. But to already clinch your division on Thanksgiving week, it proves, and especially with Drew Brees out, they're a very good team, and they could go very far in the playoffs. For the Falcons, a lot of people thought that they were going to be where the Saints are, but they just disappointed a lot of people as a team, and because of that, their head coach might be fired.
Yeah, I don't see Dan Quinn sticking around because they had an off year last year, and it was
because of injuries.
2016 they made the Super Bowl?
Yes.
So they haven't really, after that 28-3 collapse, they really haven't been the same.
Yeah.
So I don't see Dan Quinn sticking around.
No.
I do see Matt Ryan sticking around. Like, he's still one of the best quarterbacks.
Definitely.
So I think you still build around him, but I think Dan Quinn's time is up.
Yes.
So. But yeah, the Saints are playing great again, and I'm pulling for the Saints this year because they've been pretty unlucky the last couple of years. They've been that close to going to the Super Bowl, and I want Breeze to get one more. If the Bills don't get it, I want the Saints to get it. So.
Definitely, and it's finally their year. They've had so much heartbreak over the past 2 seasons, but then here comes San Francisco. There's a great team. They were the last team to be undefeated, and it's going to be hard for them. Next week's going to be a great game for those 2 teams because if the Saints want this to be their year, they're going to have to beat the 49ers.
So the 49ers lost to Baltimore 20-17, and that was a washout pretty much. I mean, it just did not stop raining in Baltimore. And it was a great game, though. I mean, they didn't let the weather affect them too much. I mean, obviously they couldn't throw as well as they wanted to, but Garoppolo and Lamar still had a few nice throws in there, and it was back and forth the whole game. And the Ravens snuck out with a victory, so 10-2 for both teams. And that could be a potential Super Bowl matchup.
Definitely. I've been saying that, and because the Ravens won and the Patriots lost, they're now the 1 seed. Now they're in control of the playoffs go through them. And just one player on the Ravens that's just been good for a long time, their kicker, Justin Tucker. We usually don't talk about kickers in this way, but the way that he's been so good for so long, it's unlike he has the golden leg. Like, that's what their teammates have been telling him. And it's true because in any situation, he can make a kick for you.
Yeah, what was the stat? He has 40-something straight field goals made of 40 or less yards.
It was in the fourth quarter. 40-something field goals made in the fourth quarter to win the game. Like, that's just a crazy stat.
I think that was another one. So he must have two because he's made like a certain, I think he's made 40-something in a row from 40 or less.
Oh,
yards,
wow.
So.
But yeah, I wouldn't doubt it. He's a really great kicker, and he's crucial to the way that they play football. The way that they can just run out the clock so the other team doesn't get another drive, and he can just win it for them.
So next game, Tennessee and Indy. Tennessee and Ryan Tannehill are climbing, and Jacoby Brissett and the Colts are falling. The Colts are 1-4 in their last 5 games.
Yeah, the Colts, they've been just bruised with injuries, and eventually, in the beginning of the season, it didn't catch up with them. They were still playing at a high level, but it's finally caught up to them. Just too many injuries. And with the Titans, Ryan Tannehill has just recreated this team into what could be a playoff team. He just rejuvenates this offense. Their running game is better, their defense is playing better, and he could potentially get the franchise tag this offseason. And for getting cut by Miami, for him to be in that position is really great. It really is, and it shows where that team is because the past 3 years, the team has finished 9-7. So maybe this year they can finally get over that hump and get over 9 wins.
And Derrick Henry has been playing out of his mind.
Unbelievable.
He's had 3 straight games of over 120 rushing yards and at least a touchdown. And what was it? I think it was a couple weeks ago. He had like 180 rushing yards.
Yes.
I think it was against the Jaguars.
Yes. He always plays well against the Jaguars, it seems. Last year he had that 99-yard amazing run.
Yeah.
But Derrick Henry seems to just, December is his month.
Yeah.
He'll just...
Even November, too.
Yes, definitely.
November, December.
He comes
pick him
on
up in
late,
fantasy.
and definitely. He just controls the ball, controls the offense, and really controls the game because it goes through him now. Ryan Tannehill doesn't have to do that much with the Titans offense.
So the last game we have here for this week, well, for the games that we're going to talk about that already happened, we still have to talk about the Monday night game, about to kick off now. Houston and New England, and just to cap off a great weekend for Buffalo, New England lost.
Yeah, definitely. I enjoyed it, but for Tom Brady to see, I've never seen him that frustrated. I really have never, I know he gets frustrated in some games, but to that point, he has no help. He really doesn't. He has no offensive weapons, and it's finally catching up to the Patriots because of Tom Brady's age that he can't do everything, so they're finding it hard to create offense. Before, it was 28-9 in the end of the third quarter before they came back and scored 2 late touchdowns to try and tie it up. Tom Brady was 15-33 for 189 yards, a touchdown, and an interception. That's just un-Brady-like, and a lot of them weren't his fault. A lot of them were drops, and receivers just weren't creating separation.
Yeah, there was that clip of him saying, play fast, play explosive, and one other adjective too. But he was pretty riled up on the sidelines.
Definitely.
And you can see the age is finally starting to show to Brady. By no means do I think he's done, because he's Tom Brady, and he's going to bounce back, and the Patriots are going to the playoffs, and they're probably going to go on a run, if not make the Super Bowl again. But as a Bills fan, it is nice to see that he's finally started to decline, and I think the Patriots are starting to decline too, because, like you said, their defense is carrying them right now. The number 2 defense in the league behind San Francisco. And like you said, Brady's still great, but he can't carry this team as much as he has in the past.
Yes. And on the other side, for the Texans, they get a great win because in the next 2 of the next 3 games, they play the Titans. They haven't played the Titans yet, and so that could be for the division. The Texans are a game up right now, but depending on how those 2 games go, it could be wide open in the AFC South. And how the Titans are playing right now, it could be anyone's game.
All right, so 2 minutes left. Now for the prediction. So in about 10 minutes, we have the Vikings and Seahawks kicking off. Who do you like in this one?
I like the Minnesota Vikings. I know they're underdogs, and I know that they're away, but I think they really need a win. They need to win this game if they want to keep up with the Packers. And I think just the playmakers that they have on offense and the lack of playmakers that they have on defense for the Seahawks this year, I think that they can get it out. I think they can get out a win. I have them 28-26.
I like the Seahawks here because Russell Wilson is just so good this year. And the Seahawks are 9-2, and Wilson is putting up MVP numbers, and the defense is great again. Obviously, they don't have Legion of Boom anymore, but KJ Wright, Bobby Wagner, they're still getting it done. They're home. I like Seattle here. So then, Buffalo and Baltimore. Who do you like here?
This was a toss-up for me. I feel like it's going to be a very close game. I was going back and forth, but I think Buffalo can pull it off with a score of 24-21. I think it's going to be a field goal game either way. I don't really know, but I think the Bills can pull it out.
Yeah, I do too. Now, I will say the Bills, I don't expect the Bills to finish 13-3 and go undefeated the rest of the year. So I think they are going to lose, and I think this week might be the one week that they do lose. But like you said, I think it's going to be close, and it's going to be within 5-10 points. So I'm going to go with the Ravens, but just by a little bit. And then Chiefs and Patriots. This is another good game. I'm going to go with the Chiefs here because I think their offense, I know their offense is way better than the Patriots' offense right now, and I think their defense can keep up with the Patriots' defense if we're going to look at it from that aspect. So I'm going to go Chiefs here.
100%. I agree with you 100%, and I'm going with the Chiefs as well.
And last one, 49ers and Saints. These are some great games we have next week. So I'm going to go with the Saints here.
Okay. I'm going to have to disagree with you. I think the 49ers can really pull this one away. I think their defense can control the Saints' offense and win the game for them.
All right. Well, time will tell. Like I said, we have some great games coming up. And if you want to watch another night of football, you have the opportunity to right now as the Vikings and Seahawks are kicking off. So, Dante, thanks for coming on.
Of course.
And, well, thanks for coming on all semester. I remembered it's our last episode of the semester. So, hopefully next semester we can talk about some damage that the Bills did in the playoffs.
Definitely.
All right. Well, we'll be back in 2 minutes, and Dustin will be on to talk about the NHL.
I'll be right back.
Hi! You think you're probably sober?
Yeah.
But you're thinking about taking the back roads home, just in case. If you're probably sober, then why would you do that? Good choice.
Probably okay isn't okay. If you see a warning sign, stop and call a cab, a car, or a friend.
That's a full glass of wine. I'll be chatting you later.
There are 16 million children struggling with hunger in America. That's 1 in 5 daughters, sons, neighbors, and classmates who don't know where their next meal is coming from. Yet billions of pounds of good food go to waste every year. It's time we do something about it. Feeding America is a nationwide network of food banks that helps provide meals to millions of kids and families in need. Visit feedingamerica.org to help them feed even more. Together, we can solve hunger. Together, we're feeding America.
Hamilton was adopted from a rescue in 2008. He really likes to be around people. And as soon as I start to make my breakfast, Hamilton is right there. I get out my mat and I'm doing a downward dog and he's underneath. He's quite the pug about town. He gets invited to a lot of parties. He knows he's a pretty big deal. I mean, look at this little face. How could you not love him?
It's me, Artie. Come see what I collected from the Creative Galaxy in my idea box.
Transform your world.
Will you help me make art?
Before you throw it away,
Hey, I have an idea.
think outside the box.
Go be amazing!
Give your cardboard box another life. Recycle.
And welcome back. Happy to have Dustin Herrera on with us now. Dustin, how you doing?
I'm doing fine. How are you doing?
Pretty good. Sabres are up 5-0, so I'm doing really good, which is totally surprising. But before we get to more of the games that are going on, for news, a couple firings we've had over the last couple of weeks. The Maple Leafs fired Mike Babcock, and then the Calgary Flames just recently fired Bill Peters.
Yeah, and two honestly disgusting acts of, just actions that the coach has taken against the players. With Mike Babcock, we have what has now come out that he's been just honestly just a grown bully. He's been physically assaulting his players, just being mentally damaging to him. As Johan Franzen, an ex-Detroit Red Wings player, says, he gave him a mental breakdown on the bench, just constantly hounding him, constantly like name calling, as what you would see on a schoolyard playground, but except it's in the National Hockey League. He has a nervous breakdown on the bench, and he calls him recently that he was the worst worst man he's ever known, which is hyperbole. Obviously, they're worse people, but it goes to show how bad the treatment was. And with Bill Peters, another just nasty, display of racial slurring going on in the background, which there's no room for it. Michael Jordan, not the Michael Jordan, it's Michael Jordan. He came out saying how he would play his hip hop in the background, like in the locker rooms, and there comes Bill Peters in talking about, turn off this expletive music, and it's just honestly it's just nasty. And he says it wasn't meant in hate, it was just in jest, but those words just really have no place. So it's good to see them go because at least we're growing as a as a community. So it's honestly it's good. So what are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I mean I didn't know exactly when did all that stuff come out about Mike Babcock, because I thought it was just because they haven't been playing as well lately.
Yeah,
I did hear. Let's see, I think it was Mike Commodore, right?
Mike Commodore,
Mike
right.
Commodore, I saw a thread of his tweets where he just went off and said how much of a jerk this guy was.
Right.
But he didn't say it nicely. He said he had some harsh words for him. And I didn't know, that was the reason why they fired him. I just thought Commodore thought that of him. Because he got fired, he figured he could unleash on him. But
Right.
I didn't really, see the connection there and realize that Commodore may have had a point. And that's why he was
It
fired.
wasn't the sole reason, but you know how once it rains it pours. So once everything came out, and it was like the Me Too movement of hockey. I know it's insensitive to say, but that's really truly what it was. Once one person came out, that's when everyone came in. And when you're getting called out by Mike Commodore and Sean Avery, two of NHL's known goofballs, you did something bad. Anyway, in all light of these news, let's talk about some hockey. How about that? Some good hockey.
Real quick though, how long was Peters in Calgary?
Bill Peters, it's been I think close to a decade at this point. I can't tell you for any certainty, but the thing about the racial slurring has been over a decade ago. But it's still as damaging now as it was back then.
So racial slurs and the negativity aside, maybe it was good from a hockey standpoint too, because Toronto wasn't playing good this year.
No, not
They're
at all.
4-1 since they hired Sheldon Keefe.
Right.
And Calgary had a great season last year, and then they got bounced out in the first round by Colorado.
Right.
And they really haven't been that good either this year too. So
No. Yeah, well, it's those two guys were traditional hockey guys, dump and chase, get the puck in deep, battle for it. But now with the game, how it's changing, it's more of a speed game. So it's a good thing that they're looking forward to new management, because the game grows every second, every season, every day, and it's better to get new young blood in there to kick the team going. So that's what we're going to see with the Maple Leafs and Calgary. Hopefully, we need some new teams in the playoffs.
So yeah, it'd be nice if the Sabres get in.
Oh,
They
well,
haven't
for
even
you,
had a
I'll take
coaching
Rangers
change,
over
Well,
the Sabres.
they did have a coaching change over the offseason, but not in season.
Right.
But as for the Sabres and the Maple Leafs, they played twice this weekend, and the
Yeah.
Sabres took 3 out of 4 against Toronto.
Right. The Sabres, honestly, they have the good excuses. They have a list of injuries. They have Kyle Okposo out. They have Rodriguez out. They have Rasmus Dahlin out. And honestly, even with all those big name players out, they still played a hell of a game. Those 2 games, there was no quit in it. There was just constant pressing. That's what you want to see out of your young guys. You got to work for those minutes. You don't have veteran presence for them to say, oh, he's good, let's keep him in there. So, it was great that happened. Even though they took the losses, those were the shining points of the losses, I would say.
Yeah, especially because the Sabres were down 2-0 on Black Friday
Right,
against Toronto at home, and then they came back 4 unanswered goals, and then hung on to the 6-4 victory.
It's good for the neutrals, man. I was watching it just like, Jesus Christ, this is actually going on right now. It was amazing.
So, yeah, and then in Toronto, John Tavares netted the game-winning goal in overtime, and then they took that one 2-1.
Right, yeah.
So it was a good weekend for the Sabres, though. It took 3 out of 4. So, but like we were talking about before the show, the Sabres are, 2-2-2 over their last 6, and then
right, they have 12
3
losses
wins in their last 15. Or
right,
something.
it's not good, and like I said, there was injuries, but also at the end of the day, you got to get some wins. 12 out of 15 is just a horrendous record, and because Toronto's a great team on paper, John Tavares, Willie Nylander, oh my God, the list goes on, and the fact they're doing this bad, probably honestly it has to do with Babcock, and that's why they're getting a new change. And so we'll see. We'll see what Sheldon Keefe could bring to the table.
Now, as for your team, the Rangers,
yes,
they played the Devils.
Yeah, rookie versus rookie. It was the Capo Caco versus Jack Hughes. Everyone's saying that Jack Hughes was the real deal. Not during that game. He has 0 points while Capo Caco nets a goal, and so that's good to see. The young blood, a good rivalry. It's been a while since we've had a New Jersey, New York battle now. And that was such a great game. We win by 4 goals, and geez, my voice was hurting by the end of the day. I'm just sitting there yelling. And Zibanejad, that was his first game back after injury, and he even nets his first goal and an assist for 2 points. And that's just amazing that even with our first line center out, we were still able to have, this stretch of great games. We were 3 wins out of 5, and with our young guys, and that's more than honestly any Rangers fans asked for. We pulled. A lot of people compare it to the Yankees. We have they were saying, oh, they're gonna have a few bad seasons, but then we worked magic in the off season, and now, oh look, we're good again. So it's good to be a Rangers fan. It's a good time right now.
And then in the Central, we had Vegas and Nashville. Vegas took this one in overtime, 4-3.
Yeah, it was a surprising win, honestly, because Vegas, as we all know, they were the dark horse of last season. 2 seasons ago was their first season there, and then to make the Stanley Cup final, and people thought that they were going to make a good impact, but it seems like they've been a little bit slow. Call it the sophomore slump, call it whatever you want, but it was still a good game. It wasn't dominating in any other sense, so as neutral, you always want good hockey, and that's what you got.
And then finally, out west in the Pacific, Edmonton and Vancouver.
Ooh, there's a lot to say about Edmonton right now. Jesus, they're getting spoiled. They have Connor McDavid and Leon Draisaitl, the dynamic duo, the gruesome twosome, whatever you want to call it. They have both of them are netting 50 points. That's insane to think about. 50 points for 2. Honestly, they're not rookies, but they're still freshly new in the league, and that's unheard of most of the time. Last time we heard of that was the duos like that was Mark Messier and Wayne Gretzky, Pavel Bure and Brian Leetch, and yeah, it's insane. Edmonton Oilers, it seems like this is their time to make the push. December is usually crunch time for playoffs. Usually around now, the standings don't really change much. So as we see Edmonton, they're top 5 in the Western Conference. So that's unheard of. It'll be good to see what they can do if they can keep on this momentum, 50 points. Let's see if they can get at least 10 points in the playoffs. We'll see.
And Edmonton took that one 3-2 yesterday over Vancouver, and Draisaitl had 2 more.
Right,
So
there you go. See?
he's just on a tear this year.
Right, it's been insane. I wish we would have got Connor McDavid, but we were too good not to get last place that season.
Sabres almost got him, but then they got Eichel. So
yeah,
I can't complain about Eichel though. Eichel's been on a tear too. He has a goal tonight. So.
Yeah, so it's looking good. Been on. Good.
So for upcoming games this week, first in the Atlantic, Boston and Carolina. Who do you like here?
Ooh, I have to go with Boston. It's another one of those gruesome twosome dynamic duos. You got Pasternak and
Marchand.
Yeah, and Marchand. And Marchand's a rat. Yeah, we know. But he can play. He can play. They both have, I believe, over 30 points in the season right now, and it's just one of those things where they just gel. They glue. Their chemistry is there, and they're just ripping through the league. I witnessed it. We got lashed by them last week, the Rangers, and I'm watching it. I'm in awe, but I don't want to be because it's Pasternak and Marchand, but they got game, and they're definitely gonna take over Carolina. I call a 3-0 shutout, 3-0 Boston over Carolina.
Yeah, I'm gonna go 4-1. I think Pasternak and Marchand each have around 45 points. So
right.
It's crazy how good they are. So then in the Metropolitan, Philadelphia and Toronto. Do you think Toronto can?
I believe so.
Keep on this hot streak?
Right. With the new coach, you still don't know what tactics they're going to use yet. So Toronto's going to come out with a brand new bag of tricks, and I don't think they're going to be able to keep up. I don't think the coach is going to be able to see what's coming, and it's going to come down to raw skill. And I still believe Maple Leafs have that over the Flyers. Right.
And then in the Pacific, Edmonton again. This time they're taking on Ottawa. So I'm going to go Edmonton here.
Right, yeah, you know what I'm going to say. The gruesome twosome.
Yeah, another dynamic.
Right, I'm calling a McDavid hat trick. He seems to be getting a lot of those like it's nothing. Everyone's struggling to get 1 goal, and he's here getting 9 goals in a week. So it's insane. Yeah, Oilers for sure. And
then finally in the Central, Dallas and Winnipeg.
That's one of those games where if you miss it, it's not really a big deal, but I call it an overtime, maybe possibly shootout. Dallas is struggling, Winnipeg is struggling, Patrick Laine is not really netting as he's supposed to, but, as raw firepower, Winnipeg has it, but the Dallas Stars have the better defense, so it's going to be a good one. It's like I said, you don't really have to watch it, but if you want to see good fundamental hockey, that's the game to tune into.
Yeah, I'm going to go with Winnipeg. So with that, thanks for coming on, and thanks coming on for your second time this semester, and thanks for doing the camera.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, no problem.
Doing the camera work for us. And with that, Meyer will be on to talk about the NBA in 2 minutes.
I'll be right back.
Hi. You think you're probably sober?
Yeah.
But you're thinking about taking the back roads home, just in case. If you're probably sober, then why would you do that? Good choice.
Probably okay isn't okay. If you see a warning sign, stop and call a cab, a car, or a friend.
That's a full glass of wine. I'll be chatting you later.
There are 16 million children struggling with hunger in America. That's 1 in 5 daughters, sons, neighbors, and classmates who don't know where their next meal is coming from. Yet billions of pounds of good food go to waste every year. It's time we do something about it. Feeding America is a nationwide network of food banks that helps provide meals to millions of kids and families in need. Visit feedingamerica.org to help them feed even more. Together, we can solve hunger. Together, we're feeding America.
Hamilton was adopted from a rescue in 2008. He really likes to be around people. And as soon as I start to make my breakfast, Hamilton is right there. I get out my mat and I'm doing a downward dog and he's underneath. He's quite the pug about town. He gets invited to a lot of parties. He knows he's a pretty big deal. I mean, look at this little face. How could you not love him?
It's me, Artie. Come see what I collected from the Creative Galaxy in my idea box.
Transform your world.
Will you help me make art?
Each one of our journeys keeps
Before you throw it away,
Hey, I have an idea.
think outside the box.
Go be amazing!
Give your cardboard box another life. Recycle.
Happy to have Meyer Mikulski on one last time with us for the semester. Meyer, how's it going?
I mean, I'm not that happy to be back, but hey, I have to do what I have to do. We got unfinished business to handle.
Yeah, only 2 weeks left though.
Yeah.
So the semester's flying by. So as for the NBA games that happened over the break, first one that we're going to talk about, the Clippers and the Mavericks. Clippers took this one 114-99. So what did you see in this game?
So what I saw is the Clippers playing great defense on Luka Doncic, but their leading contributors were Kawhi Leonard, Paul George, and Lou Will. Leonard scored 28 points on 11 of 21 shooting with 8 rebounds and 4 assists. PG scored 26 points on 8 of 21 field goals with 4 rebounds and 6 steals. And Lou Will scored 21 points on 7 of 14 field goals with 6 rebounds and 6 assists. On the Dallas side of things, Doncic scored 22 points on just 4 of 14 shooting with 8 rebounds, 6 assists, and 7 turnovers. Porzingis wasn't much better. He scored 15 points on 4 of 13 shooting with 10 rebounds, 2 steals, and 3 turnovers. And their third leading scorer was Seth Curry, who scored 13 points on 5 of 8 shooting. Your thoughts, Kevin?
This was a matchup of two of the superstars in our league today with Kawhi and Luka Doncic, because Luka has been on a tear.
Yeah.
Because didn't I see he averaged a triple-double in the month of November, right?
Yes.
He had like 31 points, 10 and a half rebounds, and like over 10 assists, right?
Yes, correct.
So he's been on a tear, and Kawhi's Kawhi. And now they have Paul George back and healthy too. So both teams are doing great this year. I didn't even realize, but they're back-to-back in the standings.
Yeah.
So I believe they're 3-4 with the Clippers have the upper hand right now. But the Mavericks, I mean, they didn't even make the playoffs last year, and Luka Doncic has them right in the top of the standings. I know it's early, but they're playing really well so far.
Yeah, agreed. I believe they're one trade away from being a serious contender, however. I don't believe their roster in its current state is deep enough to go deep into the playoffs.
Who do you think who would you go after if you're their GM?
That's tough to say right now, but I believe they need like another wing.
Yeah, they do have Tim Hardaway from the Knicks in that trade. But
yes, but he's not consistent enough.
Yeah. So yeah, you're right. I feel like they could use that one more player. I feel like they're kind of missing Dennis Smith too.
Yeah, but him and Luka couldn't work together because they're both ball dominant.
Yeah, true. So next we have the Celtics and the Nets, and Boston took down Kyrie and his new team 121-110.
I dubbed that game as the return that never was because Kyrie Irving actually wasn't in the arena. But Boston was led by Kemba Walker, who scored 39 points on 13 of 24 shooting with 6 rebounds and 4 assists. Jaylen Brown chipped in with 22 points on 9 of 15 shooting with 10 rebounds and 3 steals. And Jason Tatum was held to just 16 points on 5 of 17 shooting with 9 rebounds and 5 assists. But it was enough to get them the victory. As for Brooklyn, their leading scorer is Garrett Temple, who scored 22 points on 8 of 14 shooting with 3 assists. Joe Harris chipped in with 21 points on 8 of 13 shooting with 5 rebounds. And Spencer Dinwiddie was held to just 16 points on 5 of 19 shooting with 3 rebounds and 11 assists. Your thoughts, Kevin?
Is it just me, or does Kyrie give you a weird vibe?
I saw what he posted on Instagram, I believe it was.
Yeah, I forgot about that. That was pretty telling, I feel like, because it always seems like Kyrie's either hurt or he's got something going on the mental side of things, or like last year he had his grandpa's funeral and he missed a lot of games. But I don't know, he just always seems kind of out of it.
Yeah.
And I think his teammate said from Boston last year that he kind of was always negative in the locker. Or no, it was Brooklyn this year. They said he goes through like mood swings. So like already in his new team, he's got a fat contract. He's in Brooklyn. He's happy, and he's having mood swings. So I don't know, because what he posted on Instagram was just about. I forgot
It's
the
basically-
exact wording, but didn't he just basically say that there's more to life than basketball?
Yeah. It's basically about what players go through when they return to face their former team. But he kind of made it deeper than that.
Yeah. So, I don't know. Kyrie's just. I like Kyrie, but he always gives me a weird vibe.
Yeah, ever since he requested that trade from Cleveland, he's kind of shown a different side.
Yeah. Yeah, like, he was always. You never heard from him in Cleveland because LeBron was there, and Kyrie was a perfect duo with LeBron. And then LeBron left, and Kyrie left, and then Kyrie's been, like you said, he's turned like a new leaf now. But as for the Celtics, though, I think they got to be happy with Kemba Walker. He's been great this year for them. What a replacement for Kyrie. All right, so next, 76ers and Kings, and Philadelphia took this one 97-91.
So the reason I highlighted this game was because the previous game that Joel Embiid had played in, he went scoreless for the first time in his career. But in this game, he redeemed himself. He scored 33 points on 10 of 19 shooting with 16 rebounds and 2 blocks. Rookie Matisse Thybulle chipped in with 15 points on a perfect field goal percentage with 3 rebounds, 4 steals, and 2 blocks. So an all-around effort from him. Tobias Harris was held to just 14 points on 5 of 15 shooting, but had 6 rebounds and 2 blocks. As for Sacramento, Buddy Hield scored 22 points on 9 of 24 shooting with 6 rebounds and 4 assists. Dwayne Dedmon chipped in with 18 points on 8 of 12 shooting with 6 rebounds. And Bogdan Bogdanovic chipped in with 17 points on 7 of 15 shooting with 3 assists and 4 steals. Your thoughts, Kevin?
I think Philadelphia is a team that we expected. They're towards the top of the Eastern Conference. They're 14-6. And then Sacramento is also kind of a team. We kind of expected this too. They're always on the bubble of being a wild card, not a wild card team, but getting into that 7 or 8 seed. And they haven't been able to do it in the last few years. But do you think Sacramento can do it this year?
Going into the season, I thought they would. But if the bench players keep on playing how they play, and De'Aaron Fox and Marvin Bagley come back and play well, I believe they still have a chance.
On paper, they have a really good team. Buddy Hield, De'Aaron Fox, Harrison Barnes, Bogdanovich, Marvin Bagley. They built up their team pretty nice, but I don't know. Will it be enough to get over the hump this year?
I argued that they have a better team on paper than the Mavericks.
Really?
Yes.
Okay, nice. I haven't heard that one before because, I mean, Sacramento is one of those teams you never hear about them.
Because they've
small
been
market, they're out west.
They've been mediocre for so long.
Yeah, exactly. So we'll see if they can do it this year.
And the last time they made the playoffs was 2006.
Has it been that long?
Yes.
Wow. And they do have, it is fun to, when they're winning, they have some great fans out there when they pack that arena. I remember all those years when the Lakers would play there, and that was when Kobe was still playing. The arena would always be packed, and they always seem to play well. But we'll see what they can do. And then speaking of the Lakers, they are on a tear this year.
Yeah.
And they are 17-3 thanks to LeBron and Anthony Davis, and AD dominated in his return to New Orleans the other night.
So speaking of that, Anthony Davis scored 41 points on 15 of 30 shooting with 9 rebounds and 3 assists in his return. King James chipped in with 29 points on 10 of 18 shooting with 5 rebounds, 11 assists, and 2 steals. Kyle Kuzma scored 16 points on 6 of 8 field goals with 5 rebounds and some clutch shots towards the end of the game. On the New Orleans side of things, their scoring leader was Drew Holiday, an LA native who scored 29 points on 12 of 23 field goals with 6 rebounds, 12 assists, but had 7 turnovers. Brandon Ingram had a night that he would like to forget about his former team. Despite scoring 23 points, he scored I mean, he went 4 of 21 in order to get those 23 points and scored 10 rebounds. I mean, recorded 10 rebounds and had 2 steals. J.J. Redick chipped in with 18 points on 5 of 12 field goals with 4 rebounds. Your thoughts, Kevin?
I think both teams benefited from that Anthony Davis trade because he obviously wasn't happy there anymore, and he was kind of bringing them down. So you get him out of there, put him in L.A. where he's happy, and then they get back Brandon Ingram, Josh Hart, Lonzo Ball, 2 first-round picks.
A king's ransom, basically.
Yeah. So I think both teams really benefited here. And it was a good game. Back and forth, but the Lakers prevailed in the end.
Yeah.
So now for our predictions for this week. First one, sticking with the Lakers, they are at Denver tomorrow night. So who do you like here?
I like the Lakers in this game. I feel like they'll bounce back after losing to the Mavericks yesterday.
I'm going to go Denver. They're another team. Denver, Portland, and Utah are like my 3 teams that I like to keep an eye on because they're always sneaky good because they don't get a lot of, well, the last couple of years they've gotten more national attention, especially with Carmelo out in Portland now.
Yeah.
But they're the small market teams that are just solid. And between Jokic and Jamal Murray and Paul Millsap, I think they can take down the Lakers.
I can't be mad at that pick.
So speaking of the Trailblazers, they are at the Clippers also tomorrow night. So who do you like here? I'm going to go Portland. I'm going to stick with my small market teams here.
Same.
And Carmelo's playing great too.
He actually won Western Conference Player of the Week for this past week.
Yeah, and I think we said this last show, but I'm going to say it again because it's true. When they are healthy, they have Lillard, McCollum, Carmelo, Nurkic, and Hassan Whiteside. That's a really good starting 5.
And they have some solid role players to come off the bench like Rodney Hood and Anthony Simons.
Yeah, so Portland, they're not off to that great of a start. They always seem to turn it on in the later stretch of the year. So right now they're just 8-12.
Yeah, but recently they've been turning it up.
Yeah, so I think they're going to turn it on, especially with all these, with Carmelo and then when Nurkic comes back. So, yeah, I like Portland here, and then Miami and Boston. I'm going to go Boston here.
I like Miami in this game. I feel like the past couple of years, Boston's been the superior team because Miami's lacked that go-to guy. But now I think Miami has what it takes to beat Boston now that they have a go-to guy like Jimmy Butler.
I just like the way Kemba's playing right now and carrying the Celtics, so I'm going to go Boston here. And then finally, Houston and Toronto. I'm going to go Houston here. James Harden is on a tear once again.
Yeah.
I mean, I feel like we say it every week, but every week it's true. Like, he just doesn't go cold. Like, every week he's always playing great, and he had 60 points the other night in 3 quarters. 16 to 24 from the field.
You saw his reaction on the bench. He was surprised that he didn't get 62, which would have made a new career high for him.
Yeah, because he didn't even play the 4th quarter. So just a quick roundup of the standings. So the top 8 teams in the East right now, Milwaukee, they're 17-3, followed by Toronto, 15-4. They're having a great year too after losing Kawhi and Danny Green. And then right behind them is Miami, Boston, Philadelphia. Those are the top 5 teams. And then Indiana, Brooklyn, and Orlando. So those are the top 8 teams in the East. And then out West, Lakers are 17-3. And then Denver, 13-4. Clippers, Dallas, Houston, Utah, Minnesota, and Phoenix. Actually, Phoenix and Sacramento are tied for the 8th seed right now. And then Oklahoma City and Portland are right behind them. Phoenix is another team to watch because they have a lot of solid players too, but they have been pretty bad over the last few years. But Kelly Oubre, Devin Booker, Ricky Rubio, DeAndre Ayton when he comes back from his suspension, if they continue to play well, and maybe Devin Booker can lead them, I feel like they could potentially sneak into the wild. I keep saying wild card, but into like the 7 or 8 seeds.
I mean, going to the year, I wasn't expecting much from Phoenix or Dallas, but they have surprised me so far this season.
All right, well, that'll do it for this segment. Thanks for coming on, Meyer. Thanks for always coming on throughout the semester. And we will have our last segment of the semester with Mac. And we are going to talk about the rest of the MLB awards.
I'll be right back.
Hi. You think you're probably sober?
Yeah.
But you're thinking about taking the back roads home, just in case. If you're probably sober, then why would you do that? Good choice.
Probably okay isn't okay. If you see a warning sign, stop and call a cab, a car, or a friend.
That's a full glass of wine. I'll be chatting you later.
There are 16 million children struggling with hunger in America. That's 1 in 5 daughters, sons, neighbors, and classmates who don't know where their next meal is coming from. Yet billions of pounds of good food go to waste every year. It's time we do something about it. Feeding America is a nationwide network of food banks that helps provide meals to millions of kids and families in need. Visit feedingamerica.org to help them feed even more. Together, we can solve hunger. Together, we're feeding America.
Hamilton was adopted from a rescue in 2008. He really likes to be around people. And as soon as I start to make my breakfast, Hamilton is right there. I get out my mat and I'm doing a downward dog and he's underneath. He's quite the pug about town. He gets invited to a lot of parties. He knows he's a pretty big deal. I mean, look at this little face. How could you not love him?
It's me, Artie. Come see what I collected from the Creative Galaxy in my idea box.
Transform your world.
Will you help me make art?
Before you throw it away,
Hey, I have an idea.
think outside the box.
Go be amazing!
Give your cardboard box another life. Recycle.
Welcome to the last segment of the semester for Sports Hour this year. Mac Clune joins us now. And Mac, before we get started, I just have to say the Sabres are up 7-1 over New Jersey. I just saw the update over during the commercial break. So
congratulations, Buffalo.
yes. And now for baseball. So we talked about the AL awards last show. So now we have to do the NL. So first up, your guy, Pete Alonso.
Yes, he is my guy. New York Mets' very own. I've always wanted a slugger ever since I was a little kid on the Mets, and they never had a guy that hit a lot of home runs. I think the last one was maybe like Beltran hitting 41 or something like that. But now Pete Alonso came out of nowhere, and people had high expectations for this guy, but I really think that he beat them. I wouldn't be surprised if he never has a better season, to be honest. I really hope he does. But 53 home runs is the big number here. People love the long ball, and he broke the rookie record that Aaron Judge set just in 2017. So, you know, I think that this is one of those obvious and I think easy awards where you just kind of have to look at the number. There's a big number, 53 home runs, and you have to just give him the award.
Oh, for sure. Because, I mean, Soroka had a nice year, and Fernando Tatis in San Diego, but nowhere near the numbers that Alonso put up. He had 53 home runs, 120 RBIs. He only hit 260, but still, just when the Mets needed a big hit, Pete Alonso was your guy. He had 155 hits, and he was just a monster all year.
It's a funny thing because it's like the Mets have 2 of these awards, and yet they didn't make the playoffs. They didn't even make the wild card spot. So they're left kind of in a strange place where they're going to produce next year and really, you know, show up, or are they just going to be continuing to be the team that their players win these big prestigious awards, but they can't put it all together as a team? And for this race, I think that this race, maybe the runner-up has more of a case for than the award that the other Mets player won. Because I think that Soroka was amazing for a pitcher this year. Unfortunately, the Braves fell apart in the playoffs, which gets rid of their argument a little bit. But he went 13-4 with a 2.68 ERA. That's an all-star pitcher right there. So I think that for people to say that Pete Alonso completely ran away with it, I think that Soroka definitely deserved some votes. And I think this was a unanimous. If it wasn't a unanimous, it was 1 vote for Pete Alonso. Or 1 vote for Soroka and then 29 for Pete Alonso.
Oh, I was just, I forgot. I was thinking Soroka was up for Cy Young because I was thinking of the pitchers with him and DeGrom. But yeah, Soroka was a rookie.
Yeah.
So it was him and Alonso.
Yeah, he was in the rookie race.
Yeah.
On the Braves team that, like I said, unfortunately fell apart in the playoffs. But up until then, their pitching rotation was surprisingly really good, and it was on the back of a rookie. So I really think that deserves some consideration for potentially Rookie of the Year.
Yeah, for sure. And then for the Cy Young, then Jacob DeGrom won this one.
Yes.
And honestly, I didn't think he was going to win it this year, but he won it for the second straight year.
So the way I saw this race was 100% this was Hyunjin Ryu's race to lose, and then he lost it. I didn't think he took it. I thought he lost this race at the end. I think the biggest thing was just the pitches, or the innings pitched. 204 innings pitched to 182 innings pitched. That's 20 more innings pitched. You can't. And the discrepancy with ERA was about 10 points. Jacob DeGrom had better whip, he had better FIP, he had better all-around counting stats when you looked at the advanced stats. And you have to look at this award in the total timeline of the season. So DeGrom's disappointing games were in the beginning of the season, within his first few starts. Hyunjin Ryu's disappointing games came towards the end of the season, around August. He had a bad August. So when you look at this award as a timeline of the entire season, and you see that, of course voters are going to vote for recency bias. They're going to vote for people that have had better recent games. DeGrom had a phenomenal end to the season, and Ryu just didn't have a great end to the season. I think he put up like a 3.6 ERA past the All-Star break, and it just wasn't good enough.
So Ryu finished the year 14-5 at the 2.32 ERA.
He had a much better record than DeGrom, is where I think the main number goes. But as we know, record doesn't really matter for evaluating a pitcher. DeGrom last year only was one game positive on the record, and he ran away with that award.
And then Ryu also had 163 strikeouts and a 101 whip. And then on the other side, DeGrom was 11-8, 2.43 ERA, 255 strikeouts.
Ran away with it in the case, for sure.
So that, and then a .97 whip.
Mm-hmm.
So it was pretty close, but I don't know. I guess because was Scherzer the other finalist?
Yeah, Scherzer was the other finalist. Scherzer got injured and wasn't able to get enough innings in either. I believe he had 10 innings less than Ryu. Don't quote me on that. I don't 100% know that stat. But DeGrom did definitely feel like he kind of came out of nowhere in this award. I feel like most people were talking about Scherzer and definitely Hyunjin Ryu, and then out of nowhere DeGrom came out. And it was because of consistent, fantastic pitching. DeGrom was, I think, the best pitcher in baseball the last half of the season.
Especially because the Mets were in the playoffs. The Dodgers and the Nationals, well, obviously with the Nationals winning the World Series, they were in the playoffs, so they had more attention. So like you said, DeGrom won, and everyone, including myself, I was like, wait, DeGrom? What? And then you look at the numbers, and you're like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
And especially because DeGrom, I feel like his record is not true to who he is, because the Mets just aren't a good enough offense for him.
No.
If he had a good offense, he could at least have 15 wins every year, if not 20.
The stat last year was something ridiculous, where he would be like 30-4 if the Mets had just scored 3 runs every single game that he pitched. So he definitely hasn't gotten the run support he's needed. This year was better. He did have a positive record this year, and also the huge stat I think that really led this in DeGrom's favor is that DeGrom had 7.9 WAR wins above replacement for his position, while Ryu only had 5.3. So a full 2 WAR difference is a pretty big swing in DeGrom's favor.
And then for the NL MVP, Cody Bellinger took this one. So the two LA guys, Trout took it in the AL, and then Bellinger in the NL.
Yeah. So Cody Bellinger had a breakout season. He's a guy that's been phenomenal. He won Rookie of the Year a few years ago. And he's been a guy that you've been waiting to break out, and then this season was his huge breakout season. He had 47 home runs, 9 wins above replacement. He was arguably the best player in baseball. This was a really interesting race that he had with Yelich, who unfortunately this race kind of became one-sided once Yelich got hurt towards the end of the season.
Yeah, Yelich had a superb year, but like you said, he was hurt for the last month, and then Bellinger just kept up with his awesome pace, Finished with a 305 average, 47 home runs, 115 RBIs.
Do you remember when he was batting like 441 for the first like 2 months of the season? It's ridiculous.
June.
Yeah.
It wasn't just like April. He was hitting 400 in June.
Mm-hmm. He was really dangerous at the plate. And that weird stance, it just felt like every single time he was going to hit a long bomb.
Yeah, it's always weird because he always swings, like he steps out when he swings.
Mm-hmm.
And then he kind of uppercuts too.
Yeah.
But it's like a smooth swing. And I don't know, like, I feel like if it was anyone else, they would be like, hey, we got to fix your swing. But somehow Cody Bellinger gets it to work.
He's a really fun player to watch at bat. And it's unfortunate we didn't get to watch more of Christian Yelich because Christian Yelich was a great player until he went down with that leg injury. So.
And then finally, Mike Shildt of the Cardinals took home Manager of the Year.
Mm-hmm. What do you think about that? Do you think that's deserving?
Yeah, I think so. The Cardinals were another team that just kind of, I don't want to say they came out of nowhere.
Yeah.
But they weren't as talked about as some of these other teams, and Shildt led them to the playoffs.
Mm-hmm.
And it wasn't a great year, but it was a solid year for him.
I mean, in hindsight, you'd probably want to give it to Davey Martinez now, managing the Nationals.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, really.
you know, on that like Cinderella story, but it is a regular season award again. So.
And then the other one was Craig Counsell, right, with the Brewers?
Yes, he was the other. I think he was the other main finalist, but the Brewers. Again, it's a regular season award, but the Brewers couldn't get it done either.
Yeah, I think based on the regular season, Shildt won, but if you're going to do it now, definitely Martinez.
Mm-hmm.
And then one real quick note, Mike Moustakas signed 4 years, $64 million with Cincinnati today. So that's kind of weird because they have Eugenio Suarez at third, so they might put him at second now, but that's a huge contract.
Solid signing, yeah.
Yeah. But anyways, thanks for coming on all semester, and thanks for all the work you did with the graphics. And thanks to everyone else who made this show possible, and thanks to you guys for watching this. And we will be back next semester. Geez, already February, probably.
It goes by quick.
Yeah, between next week, we'll be getting ready for finals and then the holiday break. So we'll probably be back in February. So it's been a pleasure to talk sports for the last few months here.
Yep.
And thanks again, and go Bills.